Got one here from Sipa and Rusto. Skaven versus Lizardmen. Lizardmen were favored into Skaven, and then Lizardmen received several rounds of nerfs, and Skaven just got a really big buff. So I definitely think this matchup has either flipped to neutral, but I would more think that it is Skaven favored once again. But at worst, it's neutral. See what Sipa can do. 5 skink skirmishers, 4 skink cohorts with javelins. All of those got nerfed in cost. Croc scores and sacred croc scores across the back line. 2 Bastildons with rev crystals for a bit of cheap terror and healing. And then a Salon Mage Priest of Death with Fate of Yuna and Doom and Darkness. I like that a lot. The other side for the Skaven, we have Ikit's Zap Zap, Warp Lightning Cannon, harassing the croc scores on their way in. Might want to switch to the Salon to reduce, shut down his cooldowns so he can't cast spells, but he's currently hiding in the trees, so I guess that makes sense. Then we have a bunch of Gutter Runners and Night Runners. Rat Ogres in the back line with some Clan Rats, and Skaven Slaves as a front. We do have the Doomflayer ROR, pretty common these days after all the buffs, the Dwarf Thing Menace with their armor sundering, and then Ikit Claw, of course, Flensing Ruin, and Howling Warp Gale. Alright. On the way in, Croc scores taking a beating from Ikit Zap Zap. They get their first of probably many Rev Crystals, trying to heal them up a little bit. Looks like the Salon is going to try and banishment some grouped up Night Runners. They do not dodge in time, though he does get hit with Ikit Zap Zap. And the Skaven are going to want to focus their fire, pick a target, and really whittle it down, because otherwise 2 Rev Crystals will be able to spread out their healing. But a really nice banishment and a good harass in from the Skinks throwing their darts at everything is going pretty well for them in the early game here. Kroxigor is fighting back against the Doomflayers. And the Doomflayers are very powerful, but they don't really want to fight monstrous infantry all alone. You'll have to be careful to always be in some support. It gets Zap Zap plus Flensing Ruin Overcast, trying to damage the Salon Mage Priest quite a lot. It looks like he already received a bit of healing. So we'll see where his heal cap ends up. But an early lead for the Skaven, and I must say I agree. Do have Night Runners chucking little shurikens into the Kroxigors that are now getting support from Rat Ogres here. Skaven front line's holding, doing a lot of damage with their back line. And we still have Doomflayers rolling through random skinks. Yeah, this is looking like a full court press for the Skaven. The only issue is we do have a slight breakthrough on the south side here. Gutter Runners and Night Runners about to get run down by Kroxigors. Mostly the skinks will be a problem. 1 almost dead Kroxigor is not a big problem for 5 skirmish units, but the extra skinks just getting into melee could be a bit of a problem. The Warp Lightning Cannon still harassing the Salon Mage Priest of Death with Ikit Claw nearby. Ikit might just want to sprint into melee combat with the Salon, knock him down to size with another Flensing Ruin or just melee stats, because there's no Kroxigors nearby to defend him. So, he could take out the Lizardman leadership once and for all. Ikit Zap Zap still firing away. None of the shots have gotten through, or he would get the Zap debuff. And over here, we do have one of the Rev Crystals taking a lot of damage from being surrounded by some Clan Rats and Rat Ogres. Another heal out for some Kroxigors. Now Ikit Zap Zap is in a bit of trouble. Skinks have broken through the front line. They've gotten onto these poor little Skaven slaves firing away with that. And Ikit looks like he fought the Salon Mage Priest for a bit, but some rallying Sacred Kroxigors nearby did force him away. Now he's actually going back into the fray. Oh, he's just throwing down a Flensing Ruin and leaving. Alright, I can understand that. This Ikit Zap Zap still tries to fire through the trees. Another Flensing Ruin Overcast onto the Salon Mage Priest of Death as he is forced further away. Warp Lightning Cannon hasn't been able to do anything as Sipa hit his Lord through those trees. Skaven still have a very large amount of HP bars for these Gutter Runners and Night Runners. Their Rat Ogres are getting a bit tattered. Their Doomflayers are getting a bit tattered. For the Lizardmen, I mean, their health bars are relative, right? They keep healing everything up. But these Kroxigors getting yet another Rev Crystal. So we'll see how much they can actually finish off. But unless that Salon Mage Priest of Death actually dies, then all of Ikit Claw's Flensing Ruins have been, unfortunately, for naught. Nice little brass orb from him there. Ikit Zap Zap is offline. Lizardman's still down to Valence Power, but clawing their way back towards the middle just a bit as these Sacred Kroxigors chase down random Night Runners or Clan Rat Spears or whatever this is. And Ikit is actually flirting with fighting them. They are not immune to terror. So they actually could terror out right here, yeah. And then if Ikit can rear charge him nicely, he could get them to rout and then maybe walk those guys off the map if he feels like it and has the time. Slann Mage Priest could use some more Rev Crystal shots before Ikit gets another Flensing Ruin back over here. The Night Runners and Gutter Runners running out of ammo makes it a lot harder for them to chase down Croxadors. Without those range attacks, the Croxadors are actually just... Oh no, the Night Runners are faster. Okay, so those Night Runners should definitely be chasing off the Sacred Croxadors. That's a big thing for the Skaven here. Lizardmen are just being allowed to rally over and over again and keep healing up with the Rev Crystals. If the Skaven route this stuff, they gotta be chasing it down. They're actually down on the balance of power now. Ikit Zap Zap did sneak back into the game somehow. They get back on their mounts and immediately are going to fire at something somewhere. As Ikit secures their back line with the help of some Night Runners. But unfortunately, there's still a giant Bastillodon sitting right there on top of the Ikit Zap Zap. Immediately routes the crew yet again. And a Rev Crystal can't quite save these Sacred Croxadors who are already getting pushed off. Dwarfing Menace dueling with the other Sacred Croxador that's still in the fight. Occasionally causing that armor sundering, which will help any nearby Gutter Runners get a little bit more damage in onto these guys. Taking them down to 70 armor from 100. And the Lizardmen are ahead on the balance of power. Sacred Croxador does get taken out, however. These other Croxadors are going to come back as well. These Night Runners have to be chasing things off, otherwise they'll keep coming back, keep refreshing their charge bonus, and keep getting more healing. Another Flensing Ruin is out onto the Slann Mage Priest of Death. It is also overcast, and with Rat Ogres rear charging that Slann, it could be frontal charging it. They could try and knock that guy out as the Rev Crystal charge is used on those Sacred Croxadors, not the Slann. Does get hit by the Rat Ogres. Ikit, meanwhile, is just chasing off these Dart Skinks, getting rid of those poisonous shots. I could definitely appreciate that as a big Fate of Uno takes out a healthy Gutter Runner. Damn, but it looks like the Slann knew he was on the way out the door as his HP sinks and sinks and sinks. He dies, making Leadership of the Lizardmen a little easier to break. Especially as Ikit is running down Skinks, that could be quite crucial. Croxadors without their Slann Lord run away. Ooh, and the Flensing Ruin on the Slann's body actually did a good amount of damage to the Bastillodon as Ikit's going to charge back in as well. But for the Skaven, they don't have a lot left either. Unlimited power giving Ikit a bit more Winds of Magic, but it also just damaged him, I saw. So for the Skaven, we still have some spears nearby that could rally to the cause. Dwarfing Menace is still here technically, but that's about it. On the other side, still have two Rev Crystals that are healing each other up whenever it's off cooldown. A couple Skinks running back in. Ikit has a lot of balanced power. It really depends on how many more Flensing Ruins he has left in him. Though after, I think I saw him cast 3 on the Slann. I don't think he has too many more. Maybe 1, maybe 2 if the game goes long enough. He can keep spamming unlimited power. That'll be the only way to take out the dinos, though. Ikit will lose the dinos in a fight pretty handedly. He gets charged by one as it's even getting healed up by a Rev Crystal. In comes a Flensing Ruin. Is it overcast? And if so, does it damage Ikit? It does not overcast, so it couldn't possibly damage Ikit, but also that means it's not going to do nearly as much damage as another Rev Crystal is trying to charge the Claw. All the Lizardmen are routing. Well, pretty much. For the Skaven, though, I mean, we just have some super tattered spears trying to come back. Are those even? Yeah, those are just Skaven Slave Spears. They're not even Clan Rats. It gets rolling around, still trying to just route the Skinks while buying himself time to get more Flensing Ruin charges off. If he undercasts that one, then he might have another undercast available before the game ends, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Because these Rev Crystals, what are they doing? 2 charges left? 1 charge left? Yeah, so they still have a good amount of healing to give themselves. But you used one on the Skink Skirmisher that's literally about to get run down by Ikit. That feels bold. Because was that your last charge? No, it was in progress. Okay, so you do have another charge you could use on the other Rev Crystal that needs it, but yeah. That Skink's just going to shatter. That was a little over-ambitious from the Lizardmen to try and heal that up. Alright. Clan Rat Spears chasing down Skink Skirmishers. Another Skink Skirmisher at 1 leadership. This Rev Crystal getting yet another heal. So both Rev Crystals have 1 heal charge left. This Skaven Slaves gets charged and immediately terror outs. Nickit is going to run for his life as more of his support shatters away. Skinks are rallying. Both of these dinos have nowhere better to be right now, and is that overcast or not? It is undercast as Ikit desperately tries to save the situation. Now we'll see how much damage it does undercast to this already low Bastildon. If he takes that out, maybe he can fight on top of his Night Runners against the other one, maybe, possibly. As Ikit continues to just run down Skinks, he's like, please shatter. I feel like I've routed all of you so many times. There, some of them are shattering. Skaven Slave Spears now immune to Terror for a little bit because they just got Terror routed. Fighting against this Rev Crystal, it's down to 9 leadership after the Cleansing Ruin hit, but it just routes off the Skaven Slaves naturally. And speaking naturally, those King Skirmishers come back also naturally. Ikit is going to try and take a charge with this big thing. But it gets a Rev Crystal heal from its brother. It also has one more Rev Crystal for its brother, and then Ikit has to take a 2v1. He will probably lose it. And as soon as he routes, this game is over. There he goes. And army losses hits. Healing strong. Death magic strong. 1200 value on the Slann is okay. Skink Skirmishers did very well. Skink Cohorts actually did very well. Rev Crystals did so much healing, it was crazy. And Crocscores provided some oomph. For Rusto, Ikit Claw did fine. Front line of Clan Rats did okay. Night Runners and Gutter Runners did okay as well, but a little clumped up at the start, and then they got hit with that big old banishment. Ikit Zap Zap and the Doom Flayers did well, so did the Rat Ogres. GG. Roar.
Subscribe, yes, yes.